as their fees. But in his administration, they started taking equity positions in the company for the strategy consulting that they were doing. And he's not accused by the feds, but the information is leaked out that when Warren Buffett, in the financial meltdown, said he will support Goldman Sachs for $5 billion investment. Now, Rajat Gupta is on the board of Goldman Sachs. And according to some of the information that has come out, that he has probably knowingly or unknowingly spoke to Rajaratnam to say that this is what Warren Buffett is going to do. And that is what the government is looking at. Again, they have not accused him, but that's not his problem. His problem is that too many people will believe that he did the wrong thing, even though, look at his philanthropy. He partnered with former President Bill Clinton, and he found American Indian Foundation, which is AIF, and he raised $1 billion for Gujarat earthquake. Everybody loves him in India as well as here in America. It's so sad to see a guy who had an impeccable credentials for 34 years. He's so much in demand as director of the companies, and he's been on the 4 or 5 boards. And of course, recently he was named as the chairman of the International Chamber of Commerce. But yet, he can't talk too much because the lawyers have told him to shut down until the government decides whether they have a case against Rajat Gupta or not.
Well, that's the thing. When you are that well-connected, saying the wrong thing to the wrong person at the wrong time has devastating consequences, as you just said.
Working at McKinsey, I know this from the first hand, they don't even talk about who they're working for. So it's very hard to believe that Rajat Gupta would have actually told this kind of a boardroom thing out to somebody else for them to trade on it. I mean, it doesn't appear like that's his work, but everybody's waiting.
Well, that's what they're investigating. Moving from that scandal to another one, you might recall that a few months ago we were talking about how in Melbourne, Australia, there had been some crimes committed against students of Indian origin. And there was a lot of uproar in the Indian media about this and tension between India and Australia in terms of their even political relationship. Well, this has come back in the news recently because apparently there have been some emails exchanged among Australian police officers, and that has gotten out, including video footage of an Indian man being electrocuted on a train with a suggestion that it would be a way to fix Melbourne's Indian student problem.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, it's pretty horrifying, and clearly, once this got out in the Indian media, there's been a lot of uproar about it again. In fact, there's a Bollywood movie that came out recently called Crook, which was filmed mostly in Melbourne, and it's based on the attacks against Indians, which took place earlier this year. So there's a lot going on between India and Australia. Australia is trying very hard to make sure this doesn't further hurt the relationship between the two countries. But clearly there are a lot of students who are going to think about going elsewhere now.
It's sad. Both countries trade with each other quite a bit, and that can be in jeopardy. Moving on, here's a story from Bloomberg Business Week. This is a transformative technology that puts human disease in a dish. It's said by the Christopher Scott, Director of Stem Cell and Society Program at Stanford University School of Medicine. He says it can help companies see the drugs that work and also the ones that are toxic. What is he talking about? He's talking about that sometimes it takes these companies as much as $1 billion to come up with the medicine for a particular disease, but they don't know how it will work until they have human trials. And by that time, it could be too late and you lose a lot of money. So this really is a transformative technology because the stem cell, nowadays, stem cell, they can get it out of the skin. They don't have to have embryonic. So now they can test these medicines in a Petri dish and find out how will it affect the human beings. whether it's going to be toxic or not.
Exactly, and I think one of the big problems were that you did not know the side effects of a particular drug, right? Until the human trials took place. If in the Petri dish they can figure out what the side effects are, that can save a lot of time and money.
And of course it'll save a lot of money because the malpractice lawsuits are going to come to an end. So everybody is very excited, particularly the pharmas, the Pfizer and the Mercks and the others. They are so excited about this technology.
You know, staying on this idea of medicine, I was a little bit saddened and surprised to read about how medical student distress can really increase the risk of doctor suicide. We think of physicians as those who are healers or caretakers, and they should certainly know how to take care of themselves. I think there's something to that saying that doctors make the worst patients, because for several decades now, physicians have had higher rates of suicide than the general population. 40% higher for male doctors, and get this, 130% higher for female physicians. A lot of it is traced back to the time during medical school, the intense stress that medical students are under. And what recent research has been showing is that we should make a distinction between the professional stress and the personal stress. Sometimes when it comes to the professional stress, that's where you can see people doing some things that cause emotional exhaustion. They may also then be lying about the status of lab results, or really not behaving in ethical ways. On the other hand, there is this personal stress that some people experience, which they don't want to share with others because they are afraid that it will make them look weak. So we're talking about depression, right, in many cases among medical students and doctors, and it does go untreated, and there you see the risk of the suicide.
You know, these things happen because there are